Welcome to the flowerschool.com video library. I'm Leanne Kessler, Director of the Floral Design Institute, here to share with you our latest issue on the creative bridal bouquet. Now, when I send out these weekly emails with a video, I often get questions afterwards. Where do you get those fabulous flowers? Is a very common one I hear, and yes, I'm so fortunate. There are so many fabulous flowers today. And in this video, I want to share with you one of my favorite resources, Florabundance. It's a California-based company that provides beautiful, fresh flowers, mostly shipped out of California, but they also source flowers from all over the world so that they can bring us the most interesting, most fabulous, most needed, just what we want, any time of the year. When Mr. FedEx brings in my box, it's so exciting. I get shivers. It's almost like Christmas, wondering, oh boy, what's going to be inside today? And yes, I know because I placed the order. But until it's actually in my possession, I'm just like, oh boy, what's in there? So first thing I do is open it out. And I've already opened this. You can see the flowers are all behind me, but I'm going to pretend and open it out. And then inside, all the flowers are wrapped carefully, and there's this wonderful sheet. And do you know that 5 people sign off on my order before it comes to me? There's someone that has pulled it, somebody who checks it, somebody who packs it, somebody who signs off and closes it, because they really care about me. So I look at that and it just makes me feel good, a warm fuzzy. And then I open it out, and inside there's ice packs. And the really wonderful thing is I can touch and feel, and everything's still cold, so I know my flowers are fresh. So they've done everything they can to make sure that I get exactly what I want in the best possible quality. And then the responsibility comes to me to take care of the product. As I prepare to process my flowers, I fill vases and buckets with warm water mixed with flower food. That way it keeps the water clean, bacteria-free, also gives them food, nutrition, and then a wetting agent to make them drink a little more quickly. Then I use one more thing, quick dip on some materials. This is a rapid hydrator. It acidifies even more so that they'll drink even faster. So I just pour a little bit into a separate container. And then for other things, I use the Clear Crowning Glory. It locks the moisture in so that they'll hold as long as possible. One bloom that really benefits from the quick dip is the hydrangea. They're so thirsty. I pull them, check for any damaged foliage, remove anything that's not looking great. These are all fabulous. You just leave them. Then give it a cut. And I cut it both directions so I get a nice wedge, and then dip it into the quick dip, and then transfer it over to the holding bucket. And that's going to hold, drink, be happy. This is a new carnation I want to share with you. It's called a broccoli carnation. And they're kind of diminutive, so they're not quite as big as a regular carnation, but they're so interesting and they add such fabulous texture. Now they don't need the quick dip. All you want to do with them is remove any of the damaged foliage, and again, give it a cut, and then drop it in. I think these are going to be a new favorite of mine. It's actually the first time that I've worked with them, and I love them. Roses, you want to remove the thorns so that you can work with them in your design, and for that I use a rose glove. That way I don't do any damage to the stems. I just kind of strip down. And then give it a cut. This variety, Super Green, so popular at that color. It too benefits from the quick dip. Then going right into the hydrating solution. Then fern curls, oh my gosh, aren't these just fabulous? Come in green and brown. They like to be sealed. So this is one that I would spray with the Crowning Glory. Spray it down really heavily, saturate, lock that moisture in, then give it a cut and set it down into the bucket and let it drink and go and go and go till it's happy. Another new flower that I used this time in the order, the Ranuncula. Green Success is what it's called. It is orange with the green center, and sometimes more green, and they can grow out from the center. Is that not the most interesting bloom? They are just so fabulous. There's not a lot on them as far as foliage goes, so just give them a cut, drop them in, and I find they don't even need the quick dip, but if they're a little droopy, go ahead and quick dip them. It won't hurt them at all. Green flowers are so fabulous. It gives sort of an eco-chic look to the bouquet. And when you're working with green flowers, it becomes really important to have a variety of textures and different shades and hues of the color green. And that's perfect for the Florabundance product. For this bouquet, I'm going to start with a single hydrangea. And that's going to be the base. And then start filling in with some other blossoms, maybe the super green roses, just tucking them into my hands and clustering them so that they get maximum visual value, that you really see these roses are over here. And then using the hydrangea itself as a frog, sliding things down through the center, tucking in the fern curls, but keeping them clustered as well so that they become very dramatic coming up through the center of this beautiful lime green. And then wanting to pick up some depth of color. This is so dark, so light, maybe bringing in the green trick carnations for that darker green down below. Pull the color downward. And again, yet a softer, fluffier texture, almost like a carpet of moss. Maybe a middle green with the viburnum. It's not quite as light, not quite as dark. Gives me a nice contrast. Bring it over onto the opposite side over here. And pulling my roses out so that they don't get lost. Maybe even tucking in a few more. Turning it so that I can just slide them into my hands. And then looking at the broccoli carnations. Don't want to forget them. Maybe sliding them down through the center as well. Bringing in that texture. Letting it peek up through the hydrangea. And as I work, all my stems just feed into my hand, making sure that there's no leaves below my hand, bare stems, all crossing and weaving, and then beautiful flowers at the top. I fill in with my softer materials after I build the base so that I don't bend or break their stems. So the ranunculus, where they're a little bit smaller, pulling them out, clustering them in my hands, and then just sliding them into that armature of a hydrangea, tucking them in, adjusting, and go back and add another. Bringing in that beautiful orangey green. And then I've got some bunny tail grass that's nice and delicate. It's very tight when you start with it, and then as it blooms out, it gets even fluffier. It's beautiful in both ways, but it's got a nice delicate stem, so I find I've got to be a little gentle, weaving it in carefully, making sure that I don't bend it, so that it'll slide down into my hands neat and tidy, and just kind of soften this edge over here so it's not quite so dense with the hydrangea, getting a little bit different texture on this side, sliding it in, there we go, pulling it from the bottom, and adjusting. And then as I finish up, turning it, double checking all the sides, that it looks beautiful, whichever angle it's held. In addition to beautiful flowers, Florabundance has beautiful foliages. This umbrella fern would be stunning, just tucked right underneath, creating a collar. But I have choices. They also have scented geranium. This is a chocolate variety, gives me a little bit of the green, but also that darker color, which picks up my fern curls and tucked over on this side of the bouquet, not only adds beauty, but great fragrance as well. To tie off the bouquet, we're going to use just a bit of bind wire from the Oasis company, giving it a clip. And I just hold it under my finger and then wrap around, making sure that I stay underneath all of the flowers. Wrapping and wrapping. Getting it nice and snug, but not so tight that it's going to cut and break any of the stems. And once I've gone around a few times, just twist the two ends together, locking it. And then I can go through and cut my stems. I need about 2 to 3 hand lengths, so I'm going to cut them down about here so that I don't have quite as much bulk to work with as I go about my detailing. To add my detailing, I'm just going to set it aside in the vase for a moment. And then I'm going to use dyed caning. It comes in so many different colors. It's just fabulous. It comes in a roll and you unwind it. And then what I'm going to do is take just a tiny bit of the Oasis Flow Adhesive Glue, dab it on the end, and then insert it directly into the bouquet. So I'm just gluing it to the flowers and then taking this and wrapping around, creating a collar, letting it just wind. It just keeps twisting around. And then when I get to the end again, grabbing it and using it to help glue it into place. So I'm just kind of bringing it around, then taking a little bit of glue on the end again. Doesn't take very much. And then insert it right into the flowers so it'll lock in there. Then doing it with another piece. A little bit of glue on the end. And each time you start a new one, that's how you help support the others so that they stay up. I'm going to put it underneath and then gluing into the flowers and then bringing it around, wrapping, and then repeat this as many times as you want, depending on how thick and heavy you want the collar to be. To finish it off, I'm going to use the same caning to cover over where I secured it with the bind wire, just taking a single glue dot, attaching it on, and then pulling the tab off so it sticks to my caning, and then attaching it directly to the stems and starting wrapping around, just snugly right over the top. It'll go back over, wrapping and wrapping, making sure that all the ends stay on the inside. Capture him loose. There we go. Then as I finish, I can go back with another glue dot, setting it in and pulling the tab off. And then wrapping it on around and doing that again one more time. Get rid of the tab off my fingers. There we go. And around and securing it. And then once everything's in there, I've got a couple more places that I need to take a glue dot, capture those ends, stay put. There we go. One more glue dot. Down, pull it off. You know, what did we do without glue dots? They make our life so much easier. Then as soon as that's adhered, going back, clipping the ends, don't need that to stay on there, and then cutting the ends, lashing them shorter so it's not quite so long, cutting them down just a little more than 2 hand lengths so it's nice and tidy for the bride to hang on to. I just love this bouquet. It's everything that today's bride is looking for. Has unique materials, fabulous green flowers. It's got that eco-chic look, a little bit of a trendy, unique collar. Makes the bride happy. And you, the professional florist, you have a new resource to add to your library of resources. Florabundance. They are the place to go to for fabulous, unique items. By the time you know how to make a bouquet, where to source the flowers, that's the easy part. Now you got to get out there and sell the flowers. That's always the hard part. But let me tell you, if brides see pictures like this of your work, flowers that they haven't seen in other places, they're going to want you to be their florist of choice. For more creative resources, check out our website at flowerschool.com. We have an entire video library with how-to demonstrations so that you can create beautiful bouquets for your brides. If you have questions, don't hesitate to contact us. You can reach us through the website or by telephone at 1-800-819-8089. If it's easier, use my personal email. It's Leanne, Leanne, at floraldesigninstitute.com. For now, it's your turn to get fabulous flowers and create fabulous bouquets. Happy wedding season to you. Have fun and do something you love.